quite the loaded question. I actually couldn't come up with one. So that turned into an exercise in futility. So I just came up with several just off the top of my head that I thought kind of exemplified his style, his coolness behind the kit. And I didn't go through his entire catalog song by song. Again, it was just off the top of my head. So I know I'm missing songs, and there's other songs I'm thinking of that I'm purposefully leaving out just because this would turn into a 3-hour video. Because there's the entire Genesis catalog, his solo stuff, Brand X, stuff he's played with other artists, Peter Gabriel, Steve Hackett, Tears for Fears, Robert Plant, Eric Clapton, and a bunch of other ones I'm leaving off. So I still think one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I still think he's an underrated and underappreciated drummer. Not in all circles. In some circles, if you know, you know. But the vast majority of people I still don't think know. And maybe they don't care. But anyway. And it's kind of weird considering out of all the prog bands that have ever been in the last, 55, 60 years, he's far and away the most recognizable name. And there's some other famous bands, and you have Rush and Yes, but the average person can't name somebody in Rush or somebody in Yes. He's the only household name pretty much worldwide that everybody knows who he is. Yet most of those people think of him as a singer, the pop guy or the Disney guy. And that's all cool. I like that stuff too. They might know him for, the drums on In the Air Tonight. That's kind of about it. And I purposely left that song off because that one's kind of a given. Everybody already knows it, so I'm not including that one in here. As great as that is. So anyway, I just picked some stuff off the top of my head and I'll just go in chronological order. These aren't ranked or anything. I couldn't do that. I tried, and that was a waste of time too. So I'll start with 1973 from the Genesis album Selling England by the Pound, Dancing with the Moonlit Night. And the reason I'm picking this one is just the groove of it. And that's one of the things I love about Phil. It's like his groove is killer. And it's just, when you listen to this, it doesn't sound like anything special, but his grooves just smoke. It's just really hi-hat, snare, and kick. And it's the ghosting that he does on the snare and the kick. He does a lot of double, ba-dup, 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 ba-dup with the kick. Almost like a horse gallop thing. Especially in a lot of older Genesis stuff, he was doing that. And it just creates this awesome groove. So here's a little snippet of Dancing with the Moonlit Night. That's killer, that groove. Yeah. So the next song I picked was from the next Genesis album, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. This is The Colony of Slippermen. And it's pretty much the same reason I love Dancing with the Moonlit Night. It's the groove. And it's a very similar kind of groove, but he's done that a lot on a lot of songs. It's just, again, the groove, I'm going to be repeating myself a lot, but the groove just smokes. It's killer. He's just so in the pocket. And, you'll hear. So, again, this is just a little snippet of The Colony of Slippermen.
Places the number into a tube. It's a yellow plastic tropical. Suddenly black cloud come down from the sky.
It doesn't sound that hard, but the groove is it's awesome. And he totally cooks those grooves, and he's totally hanging back. It might sound easy to play, but it's not easy to play correctly and with that type of feel. Anyway, next song is from the 1977 Genesis live album called Seconds Out. And this is Firth of Fifth. And this is one of my all-time favorites. If I had to pick one, I don't know if it'll be one, but it's right up there. So I'm just going to play a bit of the middle instrumental section of this. And this has a bunch of different stuff on. It's dynamics, it's soft groove, and then also the double drums, which with Chester Thompson. For those who don't know, Chester became the live Genesis drummer when Phil took over as singer. And Chester played on most of the Genesis tours, and also Phil's solo tours. So this song, or this bit, it starts off with just Phil by himself. And then later on, you'll hear Chester come in. So there's like the soft dynamic part, the build, and then there's some classic fills in here, and just the overall feel and the groove of it. So here's Firth of Fifth. I love this part. Kicks drum. That's awesome. Here's where Chester comes in. So if you had headphones on, Phil's on one side, Chester's on the other side. This groove is killer. So now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, just go to the later section of the song where just kind of it builds even more. That's killer. That's a classic Phil. No pun intended. Another killer groove right there. So the next song is from 1978, the Genesis album, and then there were three. This is Undertow. This is probably one of my favorite Tony Banks songs. It's a very slow song, but again, it shows Phil. I love the way Phil hangs back on this. And slow songs are actually, they're not easy to play. They sound easy, but it's hard to hang back and not slightly rush, slightly get ahead of the beat. Because there's so much space in between each beat. You know, a fast song, it's just bop, 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 bop. Slow song is bop, bop, bop. There's so much space, and you want to anticipate that, but you got to hang back. And Phil's great at that. Phil's pocket and his groove is always, it's perfect. So it's that, plus it's the fills. You know, Phil's a master at fills. They're just very memorable and very musical. And it's like you have to air drum to them. It's like Rush. It's like, to me, Phil and Neil they're the two drummers that probably have been air drummed more than any other drummer ever, arguably. But you know, you can maybe say Ringo or Bonham or Keith Moon, but I don't know. I don't think so. I still think Phil and Neil are probably the two drummers that have been air drummed to the most, because it's just very musical. So this is Undertow. That's great. It hangs back so far in this.
Tell me, what do you think you would do then?
That's awesome. And the thing about that last fill, blah, 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 he's playing with two hands. Chester Thompson mentioned this once. He said most drummers would just play that, you know, do the flam, blah, 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 and do single strokes down, da, 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 da. He does a lot of that stuff with both hands. It just gives it this extra energy, blah, 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 and then you can do flams down the row. It's I've always loved that. That's one of the things I loved about his style of playing. Next is One for the Vine. This is another live version from the 1980 Duke tour. This is just a small snippet because I love the fill that they do in this. And this is, again, with Chester Thompson. So it's both of them playing this. It's, again, it's classic fill. That's sweet. It's just his fills. They always make me smile or laugh because they're so cool and they're so musical, and they're not technically outrageous. I mean, that's not easy to play, but it's not unbelievably difficult to play. But it's just the groove of the fill is cool. It fits musically perfectly with the song. It's not showing off. It's not, oh, look at my chops, look what I can do. It's never that. It's always playing for the song. So another huge reason I love his drumming. The next one is from the same tour. This one's called Duke's End. Same thing, both drummers. So there's a great fill in here again, and also the groove of this is smokes. This is like kind of the first two examples, like Dancing with the Moonlit Night and Slippermen. The groove of this is just killing. So here's Duke's End. That's awesome. This groove. There's a double kick drum again. They're just smoking. That groove is just smokes. So, again, maybe it doesn't sound super complicated to non-drummers out there, non-musicians, but man, it's not easy to play correctly. Let's just put it that way, with that kind of feel. Next one is another live song. This is taken from the Genesis Three Sides Live album, which is from the 81-82 Abacab tour. This is Cinema Show. This was the first Genesis album I bought as a kid. I was, I think, 12, maybe 13. And after hearing, this was one of the songs that kind of blew me away and made me kind of, again, blew my mind and got me into the entire Genesis catalog. So this is, again, both drummers, and it's in 7/8. It's another cool thing about what Phil is able to do. It's an odd time signature, but it doesn't really sound odd. Somehow he's able to smooth over top of that, and it sounds normal. It almost sounds like it's in normal 4/4 time. It's like the song "Turn It On Again." That song's in 13, which is weird. It's kind of alternating bars of 6s and 7s, but the way Phil plays it, you would think it's in 4/4. It doesn't even sound odd. So it's his musicality that he's able to come up with a groove on top of these odd times that it doesn't sound weird. It sounds normal. You hear other bands play stuff in odd times and things in 7 or 5 or 9, and it sounds disjointed and herky-jerky, and you definitely hear like the beat's missing. It's like, that's weird. But when Phil plays it, it's like, what time is that? Oh, that's actually in 7, but it's like, it doesn't sound like it's in 7 because he plays it so smoothly. And the other thing with this song is the fills that he does. It's classic Phil. He ends a lot of his fills on upbeats, which just gives it this extra spark and energy. You know, he's not doing a fill and crashing on the downbeat. He'll do something on the upbeat, which just gives it this extra lift. So here is Cinema Show. Those upbeats are just killer. Now it's both drummers. That first part was just Phil by himself. So Phil's doing all the fills. Chester's just keeping time. See, this is still in 7. It sounds like it's in 4, almost. It doesn't sound weird. So, that's one of my favorite ones, too. If I had to pick one, again, I don't know if I can pick one, but that's right up there. Especially those fills at the beginning, all that upbeat stuff. Killer. Next one is from his second solo album, which was done right after this tour. That Genesis tour, from 1982, 82, 83, something like that. This is I Don't Care Anymore. And this is just, again, it's not a terribly difficult part, but it's just so musical. It fits with the song perfectly, and it's memorable. You know, I've heard over the years, you hear musicians, it doesn't matter, drummers, guitar players, whatever. They'll criticize certain players. They say, well, that's not hard. I can play that. It's like, well, yeah, maybe you can, but can you come up with that part? Can you create that part from scratch? That's the hard part. It doesn't matter how difficult something is. It's all about the creativity in basically composing that. That's the hard part. So if you gave this song to 10,000 drummers and they never heard the song before, they just heard the music, no drum part, and you ask them, okay, come up with a drum part. Guarantee you, none of them would come up with a part like this. And you could argue, well, maybe they'll come up with a better part. Possibly. I'd say doubtful. I think they're probably going to play some kind of straight time over it. They're probably not going to play a part like what Phil played. Highly unlikely. So, and to me, that's one of the things that makes Phil. He comes up with these very hooky musical parts that fit the song perfectly. So, this is I Don't Care Anymore. Now, I love the end of this. I'm just going to fast forward to the end. It's the same groove, it's the same pattern, but now he builds to build the excitement and the energy of it. He's adding these upbeats again. Like I said in previous songs, when he's doing fills or accents, it's often on the upbeat, it's almost like jazz. I mean, almost every jazz accent is it's on the upbeat. That's what makes it swing. You don't crash on a downbeat. Downbeat's more rock kind of stuff. But he does a lot of upbeat stuff, which gives it that extra soul, extra groove, extra fire, if you will. So here's the end of I Don't Care Anymore.
No more!
It's all upbeats. It's awesome. Vocal is killer too. Not a bad singer. So yeah, it's that fire that he just adds to the music. Next song is from the same album, and it's the opening fill of it. I Cannot Believe It's True. And besides just being a cool fill, it's the one little trick to it is it doesn't start on the downbeat of one, although it sounds like it does. It messes with your ear. It starts on the and of one, starts a half beat late. So it sounds like when the band comes in, like, it messes with you. It's like, they skipped a beat somewhere. It's because he's starting on the and of one, not on beat one. And this is a little trick that Genesis has done a couple times. I can think off the top of my head, Keep It Dark from the Abacab album. The guitar starts it, and it's the same thing. The guitar starts like on an upbeat. It's not starting on a downbeat. So when the band comes in, it sounds a little weird, but it's a cool effect. They also do it on Home by the Sea. It's the same thing. The guitar part starts it, and it kind of starts on the upbeat. And again, it's a neat little effect. So here is I Cannot Believe It's True. That's cool. Again, it doesn't sound hard, but it's very musical, it's hooky, and it's got that neat little trick to it. It makes it extra cool. The next song is a similar kind of thing. It's from Phil's next solo album, from No Jack Required. This one is Inside Out. And it's just the opening drum fill. And it's a simple fill, but it's very musical and it's hooky. And it's one of those things you just have to air drum to. It just sounds so cool. But it has that trick to it. He's not starting on the downbeat of one. He's starting on the upbeat of one, the and of one. So it's the same thing where the band comes in, it almost sounds like a half beat early. So again, cool little trick. Here's Inside Out. Sweet. I don't know. I always love that. Next song is from 1986, the Genesis Invisible Touch Tour. And this is the Apocalypse in 9/8 from the song Supper's Ready. And again, this is two drummers. This is Phil and Chester. Chester's laying down the pattern, and Phil's doing all the improvisational stuff on top of it. And it's that stuff. Every time I hear it, I laugh. I smile or laugh because it's so cool. He's doing these listen to two things. He's doing these hi-hat chokes. And again, it's an odd time. It's in 9, so it's kind of weird. He's doing these hi-hat chokes and these weird syncopations, these weird spots where you wouldn't think there'd be an accent, but it's so cool. And then he ends that little part by doing this little high tom fill, like ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da, and he ends it on the upbeat once again. He doesn't end on the downbeat, it ends on the upbeat, and that sets up the keyboard solo. So that, yeah. So check this out. That's so cool. That's awesome. That is so badass. That just those hi-hat chokes, and then that high tom fill going, that's smokes. So again, that's very musical. It's Phil. I mean, those are like a lot of the reasons I love Phil and why I think it's like I'm still kind of baffled why he's sort of underappreciated for all that stuff. None of that stuff is easy. Well, most of it's not easy to play properly. But beyond that, it's the composition of it. It's coming up with those parts. And his groove is killer. His musicality is killer. You know, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I won't bore you all. I'm curious to know what are some of your favorite drum parts that he's done. Put it in the comments below. It could be a fill. It could be a little section. It can be an entire song. It could be whatever. It could be from Brand X. It could be Genesis. His solo stuff, it doesn't matter. Just anything that he's played on. What are some of your favorite things? For me, his drumming influenced me as a musician and as a songwriter. And I remember as a kid, like I mentioned, I was around 12 or so when I got into Genesis. And more often than not, my ear would automatically go towards the drums. They would go towards the keys a lot too, especially because I was a piano player. I was playing piano and guitar at the time, but it was odd because I wasn't a drummer. I'm still not really a drummer. I mean, I can play a little bit, but I'm more of a closet drummer. My ear always seems to go towards the drummer, even to this day a lot of times. But it's just his musicality, his feel, everything that he mentions along the way in the video really influenced me. So, thanks for hanging out. And if you like the video, hit the like button. And if you can subscribe, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. And I will see you around. Take care. Thanks.